Hey everybody, it's Kim West, the Sleep Lady, and on this episode of the Gentle Parenting Show, I am going to talk about how to gently end co-sleeping for a baby that you want to transition into a crib. I can do another one on how to end co-sleeping with children in beds. But for this one, we're going to talk about kids in cribs. First of all, I want to talk about what do I mean by co-sleeping? Because, the use of the word or the term has changed over time. I mean where you are bringing your baby into your bed, your, adult bed, and sleeping with them there. Some people call that the family bed. Some people call that bed sharing. I'm not talking about this sort of bassinet, three-sided crib that attaches to your bed. Okay, so I'm talking about when you bring your baby into your bed. That's number one. Number two is that I made another episode for parents who enjoy co-sleeping, want to continue to share their bed safely, but they want to improve sleep. So this is not the episode for you. This is the episode for you if either A, you thought when you had your first baby, at first when you had your baby, like, yes, I definitely want to share our bed. It's kind of what my partner and I dreamed about doing. And you did that for, let's say, X number of months. And now you're like, okay, we're not having trouble getting sleep. And we want to transition our baby to their own separate space and maybe even eventually their own separate room. So that would be one option or one parent listening. Another one would be, which is the one I most commonly hear, is we didn't plan on co-sleeping or family bed sharing or anything like that. We are here out of desperation. We don't know how to get our baby to go to sleep and stay asleep. And at some point during the night, we just give up and bring them into our bed. And sometimes they fall right back asleep and sometimes they don't. Oftentimes in the beginning, they will fall right back asleep. And so parents say, oh, who cares, as long as we're all getting rest. And then as the baby gets older, more mobile, maybe more aware, usually, they start to wake up more often and it starts to become harder to get them back to sleep. Another situation could be I'm now co-sleeping in my adult bed with my baby and my partner is down the hallway in another room on the living room couch. And we really want to change that up and go back to sharing our adult bed together and have our baby in their own room. So if any of those situations sound like you, then you are listening to the right episode. Okay, so first let's just assume for sake of an easy example that you want your babies, I think I used in the other episode, 10 months old. It doesn't really matter if they're 10 months old or 13 months old. For this example, we're talking about a baby sleeping in a crib. So let's say you want to transition them into their own room for, sake of example, into a crib. So that's what we're going to be talking about, how to do that here. So I would go ahead if you don't already. So a lot of times parents say, I'd never even set up the crib or the crib is in our room, but they never sleep in it. So you could you could go ahead and set up the crib in their room, move the crib from your room into their room. Let's just call it a nursery for now, or the baby's room, and make it sleep friendly. If you don't already, install shades. Room darkening shades are really important. Make sure you have a dimmable light, or you get a night light, or you put a dimmer on a switch, or get a new light in the room. Make it sleep friendly. Safe crib, no bumper, fitted sheet. And I would also, have the changing table in there, and I would start spending time with your baby in their room. So reading stories in there, even playing, even having, changing them in there, both their diapers and their clothing, kind of move them into their room. fold laundry in there, put their laundry away, like spend time in the room, both with the shade down and the shade up, just so that they can get acclimated. If you wanted to do it in really super baby steps, you could even have like your bedtime routine in their room and then bring them into your bed for sleeping if you want to do it really slowly. If you are saying, no, Kim, we're ready to rock and roll, but we do want to do it in kind of some baby steps. And if the room is big enough, you could even do this. So make a safe makeshift bed on the floor. So I've had people drag in mattresses from other rooms, or if you have a fold out couch, pull out that mattress in there, put that into the baby's room, futon mattress. Get creative, want it to be safe, of course. And you co sleep in that room, in the baby's room with your baby. Just sort of a complete room acclimation. In other words, like, we're not sleeping in mommy's room. We are sleeping in this room. So I'm going to sleep with you in your room. You could do that for naps and throughout the whole night. So at some point, and usually it's because it's uncomfortable for your back too, unless you've made it really comfortable, then you might just have to pick a date, you know? So you could say on Friday, which is the most popular day to start sleep coaching, is going to be the first night of putting you into your crib. So we've spent a week, 2 weeks co-sleeping in your room and spending time and acclimating in your room. So you could have been also, just to be clear, co-sleeping and night co-sleeping in their room on the bed. Another way to do this is some parents will say, well, we're going to start co-sleeping in his room for naps, and then we're not going to address the night until later. We're going to co-sleep in our room at night. You know, either way, just be careful, just set a deadline, right? Set a time for, at this point, we're going to sort of move everything into their room and set the stage. Okay. And again, at some point, then I usually encourage you to do it like within a week, maybe 10 days. Say, this is going to be the date that I put you into your crib. And what you're going to say, wait a minute, what? Put them into the crib? What are we going to do then? I'll get to that in a minute. So we are setting the stage. We're creating the sleep friendly environment in their new room. We're even considering co-sleeping either for a few nights or even 7 to 10 nights in their new room on a makeshift bed, and talking about setting a date for the first night you're going to put them into the crib. Now, common thing I hear that I want to make sure to address so that you put it in your sleep plan is, but Kim, we bring our baby into our bed, throughout the night, and it's just like a feeding fest. A lot of times moms will say to me, breastfeeding moms will say to me, I don't even know how often they're feeding. And not that this can't happen with bottle feeding too, but usually the parent is more aware because they have to like go make the bottle, or they have a whole bunch of them lined up on their nightside stand, and so they can see in the morning how many bottles they went through, right? So it's a little easier to measure. But let's say for this sake that you are breastfeeding your baby to sleep and back to sleep. And maybe during the night, your partner is like rocking, patting, walking them back to sleep because you've sort of had it, or nursing isn't working. Either way, this approach will still work. So let's say you say, my 10-month-old, who I've been nursing to sleep and co-sleeping and is feeding throughout the night, is healthy, growing well. I've checked with my pediatrician. My pediatrician and both parents agree and feel comfortable that our 10-month-old does not need a feeding during the night. Again, I'm just going to pick an example. Yes, there are some 10-month-olds that need one feeding during the night. But for this example, we're going to say that you want to wean it down to no feedings during the night. You can either do that while co-sleeping, either in their room or your bed, or start that once you put them into the crib. So let's go over both options. So let's say you say, no, Kim, we've moved into their room. We're gonna co-sleep there for a few nights, and let's night wean them while we're co-sleeping in this makeshift bed in their safe makeshift bed in their room. So one of the couple ways you could do it. One, which I would say is the more difficult one for a lot of parents, is you reduce the number of minutes that you nurse each time that you feed them during the night. But if you're in that situation where you don't even know how many times they're feeding and it's just a free for all, probably not as easy a way to do that, but it's definitely an option. I would encourage you though to, wear a nursing bra and a t-shirt, a fitted t-shirt to bed, just so that you can be awake and aware more each time you decide to nurse your baby. And then of course you have to wear a watch or have a clock so that you can watch how many minutes they're nursing and slowly reduce it over the course of 3 nights. Let's say you say, oh no, Kim, that sounds like a nightmare. I can't do that. I don't even know how long they're nursing. I'd much rather just feed the baby once. And then we do that for 3 nights and then no more feeding the rest of the night. So I have had some parents do this, meaning like the nursing mom sleeps with the baby and does what I call a set time feeding, meaning first wakening after midnight, I will nurse you, but all wakenings before and after that, I will cuddle, soothe, spoon, snuggle you back to sleep. Okay. This can work with babies. It's a little harder with toddlers because if you find you're getting yourself into a physical struggle over access to nursing, then I would not. I would sort of abandon ship and the next night create a new plan, which I'm going to give you an idea for that. Okay, so again, if it's like, oh no, I feel like I'm constantly peeling my child off me and it's becoming uncomfortable and I'm trying to spoon and snuggle them and they're just dive bombing for my breasts and this isn't working for me. I get it, right? Heard that story many, many times. So then I would encourage you to do this. So if you have a partner who can help you with this, ideal. You would say, okay, you sleep with the baby, and our agreement is first wakening after midnight. I will come in, nurse the baby, whatever you call me, text me, come out into the hallway, let me know it's time for me to come in, nurse the baby, kisses, burp, hand back over to the other parent, and that parent co-sleeps with them and soothes them to sleep. And so that same parent will also, spoon, snuggle, do whatever it takes to get them back to sleep at all of the wakenings before and after that one-time feeding. So then you do that for 3 nights, and on the 4th night, there's no feeding, and it's only spooning, snuggling, rocking, whatever it is to get them back to sleep. So that's definitely an option. And some parents will then say, "Well, I'm co-sleeping and sleep coaching." That's correct. So that's just one way to approach it. The other way to approach it would be, I'm going to spend those 3, well, really 4 nights, night weaning you while co-sleeping, and then on either the 4th or the 5th night, I'm going to put you into the crib and start sleep coaching there. Okay. So I think it's important for us as parents to have options, not too many options, but options. Okay. Particularly if you feel like it's too much to go straight from, I fed you all throughout the night and you slept in my bed with me, and now I'm just putting you into the crib and in your own room and night weaning you. And there's a lot of parents that feel like that's too much, too fast. They can't be consistent in doing it. There's a lot of crying. It is true. The faster you move in sleep coaching, the more crying you will see. Okay. Never is there no crying. But that's an important element. And it's important for you to think through, what can I follow through with consistently? Right? That is one of the important parts and secrets to success in sleep coaching. So again, I just want to go back because I hadn't forgotten. What do you do that first night? So let's say you've done your night weaning, or maybe you've just didn't have to night wean your baby, but you co-slept with them in the middle, or through the night in their room for a few nights, and now you're like, we're ready, Kim. Right? It's Friday, it's Saturday, it's whatever night works well for you. We're ready to put the baby into the crib. So you just pick that night. You always pick, let's say it's Friday, and bedtime for a 10-month-old is usually somewhere between 7 and 8 p.m. You want to make sure that that day they are well napped. So they got a total of about 3.5 hours of sleep during the day. Any way you can get it. Maybe ideally not co-sleeping, even if you had to do it with a stroller or rocking to sleep. And so that then they are well rested and early enough bedtime, a soothing bedtime routine. If you always you still want to nurse before bedtime, I would encourage you to nurse sitting upright, having a chair if there's room, like a rocker in the baby's room. If not, sit upright on the makeshift bed. Remember, we're going to eventually move that makeshift bed out of the room, right? So there'll be room for a rocker, let's say, or a chair. So then you're going to nurse them, upright, light on, or bottle feed, upright, light on. Again, no falling asleep. They're drowsy but awake, or calm but aware, and put into their bed. Okay. And then you're going to follow the Sleep Lady Shuffle outlined in my book. But basically, you're going to offer physical and verbal reassurance, patting, shushing, humming, singing. You can pick up to calm. Whatever you do, I don't want you to pick them up and hold them back to sleep. And I don't want you to pat them or sing them to sleep, right? Nothing like consistently. And you can pick up to calm. I also encourage you not to get into a struggle about laying them down. None of that. They sit up, you lay them down. They sit up, you lay them down. Like, you're never going to win that. And a 10-month-old can pull up and stand up and hold onto the railing, and you're peeling their hands off and laying them down. Again, that's a battle you won't win, I promise. I talk more about that actually on another podcast video and in my book and my blog. So again, you're going to stay there, and now you're going to follow the shuffle just like, anybody else who wasn't ending co-sleeping. So you'll be moving farther away every 3 nights. It is outlined in my book, The Sleep Ladies Good Night, Sleep Tight. And if you would like to set up a consult with one of my gentle sleep coaches, we'll put a link below in this podcast. Okay, I hope that helps. And remember, it's never too late, but you do want to be super focused and set aside 2 to 3 weeks to really focus on sleep.